Terrifying home invasion. A man with a flashlight enters a single mom's house and ends up caught on her security camera. And when she looked at the video, she knew who it was right away.
A megachurch pastor was found guilty of stalking and burglary into a single mom's home. So in today's video, we are going to take a deeper look at this and just see how disturbing and dark this truly got. And so with that, let's see what broke out with the news on this.
Terrifying home invasion. A man with a flashlight enters a single mom's house and ends up caught on her security camera. And when she looked at the video, she knew who it was right away. Here's why.
It's terrifying. A man caught on security tape breaking into a home. What made this even more shocking is the identity of the intruder. It was 43-year-old Marie Columna's pastor. There he was in her kitchen, clearly identifiable.
You would never think a pastor would do anything bad to anyone.
When you follow God's vision.
And it's not just any church. 49-year-old Sergio Guardia was a pastor at a mega church, the 24,000-member Thomas Road Baptist Church in Lynchburg, Virginia.
Now, before we go any further on seeing how this really unfolded and how this pastor ended up doing these acts and why he was doing these acts, guys, we need to highlight something that Marie said in this video towards the end. She said, You never envision a pastor doing anything bad. And that is something that we should hold our pastors of our churches at a higher standard. The scriptures hold them at a higher standard. And we see that clearly laid out in 1 Timothy. But we also need to be reminded that there are dark, sick individuals out there who will use their spiritual authority in an abusive way. I remember going to a church where the initial church was started by a pastor, and he ended up using his spiritual authority in a very abusive way with having multiple sexual relations with females in the church. And there was a massive church split when that got exposed. And then the pastor's son ended up taking over the new church, which down the road, my wife and I eventually attended that church, not knowing the backstory behind all of this. So guys, this is something that was common in a church that I went to, and this has been common in a lot of churches we're seeing nowadays. We're seeing a lot of pastors getting exposed. And so with that, we need to be heartbroken over it, but we also need to be rejoiceful because we need to be praying that light would be shown on darkness. We need to be very encouraged when secret sins and secret dark acts are being exposed because they need to be exposed. The abuse is not okay, and it's not something that we should be hiding. We need to be bold about this. And so with that, guys, I just wanted to highlight that, but let's see how this relation with this single mom and this pastor was.
Maria and her husband were very close with the pastor and his wife, as seen in this photo. What was Pastor Guardia like?
Very charismatic, extremely nice.
But after she divorced her husband, Marie says the pastor's behavior became increasingly odd.
He started just showing up to my house. My kids wouldn't be home. It'd be in the middle of the day. And he would just show up and bring me groceries. He did that a handful of times. Sometimes I would get home and he'd be right on my porch. So I couldn't even avoid him.
But nothing prepared her for this. Surveillance video, which was taken while she was away for the weekend with her 2 kids.
I just couldn't process that it was Sergio.
Lo and behold, he came back the next day.
I was watching the live feed of him entering my daughter's bedroom.
She called the cops, and you can see them with guns drawn. They even use a police dog in their search, but the pastor had already fled. Guardia was charged with burglary and stalking.
Guardia has been found guilty, and a senior pastor confirms he's no longer employed by the mega church.
Not only was he breaking into the house in the middle of the night, but he was even going into the daughter's room. This is dark. And I'm thankful that this pastor did get caught. And so we're about to see just how long this stalking lasted, and we are going to see what Marie also had to say about this. She said, I do feel like I've gotten my power back, power that he took. She told the Lynchburg-based news outlet WSET. As powerful as that position of authority as a pastor may seem, and as powerful as that church may seem, they have power too. Gordia is scheduled to be sentenced in August. A former employee of the Southern Baptist Convention, Gordia reported began making advances towards Columbia shortly after her divorce, promoting her to install cameras on her property. This stalking got so extreme that she wanted to get cameras installed. And now we're about to see just how he got caught. In November 2023, cameras caught Gordia entering Columbia's home, with authorities arresting the 48-year-old pastor and charging him with 2 counts of breaking and entering and 1 count of stalking. When Inside Edition Digital reached out to the SBC of Virginia for comment following his arrest, the nation's largest Protestant denomination released a statement explaining that Gordia was no longer employed by the organization. Sergio Gordia is no longer employed by the SBC of Virginia. He resigned in November. The SBC said that the statement to the Inside Edition Digital in 2023. We have been made aware that he is dealing with legal matters, and because of the legalities involved, we have no further comment. We continue to pray for the Gordia family during this time. Yeah, so a lot of dark things were happening. SBC really didn't have much to say, which is disappointing because there should be so much more said. But again, with the legalities and all that stuff, I'm not sure what can and cannot be said. But with that, I wanted to end with this. In February 2024, a judge certified the charges against Gordia and issued a protective order on behalf of Columbia and her children, with her friend Ashley Easter telling WSET at the time that she supported the court order. She should have protective order because who knows why he was going into her house? Who knows why he was going into her daughter's bedroom? I think she definitely needs to have a protective order for that, said Easter. He was her pastor. So there's this level of what I could call spiritual abuse where he's in position of power and trust over her, which makes a person more vulnerable. That's exactly it. Spiritual abuse is a real thing, and it's something that pastors, elders, deacons will sadly use and abuse. So with that, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the BTT Ministry YouTube channel, as well as drop a like and leave a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this video, you might like this one over here.